Right now in the Sean Diddy Combs trial, designer Brianna Bagalan is back on the stand for a second day. The jury has already heard chilling testimony from Cassie's friend testifying how Diddy was violent and tried to throw her off a balcony in a fit of rage, testifying that Diddy, quote, came up really close to my face and said something like, "I am the devil and I could kill you." Once Bagalan's testimony concludes, the jury will hear from an anonymous accuser known as Jane. She's a key figure in the government's second sex trafficking count against Diddy. Let's bring in Jess Ledingham, criminal defense attorney, federal litigator, and managing partner at Ledingham Law. Jess, always a pleasure. Good morning. Brianna testified Diddy used, quote, fear and violence to control people in his inner circle. This testimony seems very effective to the various counts. How impactful is it?
This testimony is one of many that the prosecution is using to really paint a picture of how horrible Diddy was to everyone that entered his orbit. She discussed that back in 2016, when they were at the mall, Diddy knew everywhere that they went. And if you keep in mind, 2016, Cassie and Diddy weren't even together, together at this time. This is before the iPhone My Tracking was really, out there in the world. So either he had a private investigator or a GPS that she didn't know about on her so he could follow her. Once you entered his orbit, you couldn't get out. And the prosecution is doing a really good job at painting that whole picture.
Okay, on the other side, though, during cross-examination, the defense tried to hammer home inconsistencies between Bagalan's testimony. She also admitted that she and Cassie Ventura had a drug problem, using drugs at least once a week, presenting a laundry list of the drugs she used. Does this affect her credibility?
No, I don't think it does at all. So what? We knew that Cassie and Diddy were using drugs at this time. Who cares that Cassie was using drugs, that Brianna was using drugs? What matters is what Diddy did. Them using drugs doesn't excuse his behavior. So it's kind of a so what? Why are you even trying?
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because before this all started, his defense was saying, now, wait a second, we're going to prove, or analysts were saying, we're going to prove that that's what it was, a phase of drugs, sex, and partying, that he did all this because he was on drugs. Why wouldn't the defense go back and say, now, wait a second, they admitted they were on drugs, they're making this up as they go, that there was sort of that haze, just like my client was in a haze. So you can't do the same thing here?
The defense can do whatever they want trying to bring in the drugs. It doesn't matter. It doesn't excuse his behavior. When you voluntarily take drugs, guess what? You are still held accountable. So the defense is just trying for anything, right? They weren't given the best hand, the attorneys. So they're going to do anything they can to try to help their case, because they were kind of given a poor hand here.
It's day 17, Jess, and we have heard from several witnesses this week testifying about graphic violence and drug-fueled sex parties. What has stood out to you most so far?
I think the biggest piece of evidence that we heard, especially this week, was from the security guard, where he says, yes, Diddy's people, like his actual CFO of his company, called and said, hey, I will give you guys money to make it go away. Now, it's not officially bribery in a legal sense, because he wasn't a police officer. There wasn't an investigation going on. But what it shows is that Bad Boy Records, people employed by Bad Boy Records, were helping him hide his deviant side. So now we're really starting to see the criminal organization. So we're starting to really get that racketeering case, buttoned up.
Jess, when we look at optics, are you hearing anything from anyone in the courtroom about the reaction of the jurors when some of this stuff is played out and mentioned and shown? Because we always look at that and go, yeah, they're impacted. 30 seconds or less.
Yeah, they are horrified by the sex pictures. And let's face it, these are hard New Yorkers. For people to grimace, for New Yorkers, that must mean that these pictures are really graphic if you're having New Yorkers try to put their head down and not look at everything that's going on.
Yeah, great point. Jess Ledingham, always a pleasure. Thank you for your insight on this developing case.